Welcome to Women Making Waves. Today I have Alex Bledsoe. She is a producer and co-founder of Breaktide, a film and motion picture company. Let's get started. All right, Alex, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you so much. I cannot wait to catch up. So, guys, I've known Alex since college, and then just following her one day, I was like, oh my gosh, she's doing dope things in film. Like it
Thank
was
you.
you jump from like the progressive stage when you see like your friends starting to like do well and grow into like it was just like she was dropping bomb content in film. So I'm really excited about this conversation. So tell me, Alex, how did you get started?
Yeah, oh my God, thank you. I was working in the corporate world, working a 9 to 5 in Apple PR. And I think for a number of reasons, I got really burnt out. I was working like crisis management. We were working wild hours from morning to night on the weekends, holidays, everything. And there was this one day I was riding the company shuttle from Oakland to Cupertino, California, which is like on bad days, 2 hours each way. And I was thinking to myself, like, I won't make it to 30 doing this. Like, this is so draining. And I need to start thinking about what I could do that I could wake up every morning and be excited about. And at the same time that was happening, I was kind of having this realization I need to pivot my career. I also learned that my community had a higher rate of child lead poisoning than Flint. And so I started on those long shuttle rides to and fro, researching and figuring out like, how is it that nobody's talking about the levels of lead poisoning in Oakland and how they're higher than Flint? And what can I do? Can I like shoot something that will make this a topic of conversation and just like alert people to know to be aware of it? And so I started doing that. I started realizing that I couldn't do both. And so I left Apple and kind of without a plan. Like I was just like, I can't do it anymore and do the work that I know I'm supposed to be doing for the world. And so I left, I started freelancing and working on the film and doing anything. Like I was writing bios, I was doing people's CVs, like I was designing things, I was doing whatever it took to keep, my rent paid. And then as I was working on Oakland, I met two other filmmakers in the Bay Area who were interested in joining forces. And so we ended up forming this production company called Breaktide Productions. And they're two amazing women of color filmmakers whose work is also related to social issues related to class and race and gender. And so they were working on really interesting projects around like human rights and indigenous sovereignty. And they saw my work on Oakland with the lead poisoning and like racial inequity. And they're like, let's just get together, collectivize, and start making films together. And so we've been doing that since January 2018.
Love it. Okay, so to go back on the films that you're doing, about injustices and just inequalities. I know that has to be like tough because you become inserted into these narratives. So like what motivates you to keep going and telling these stories and being able to digest like this kind of hard information sometimes?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Somebody one time asked me the projects I was working on, and I told them, and they were like, "Are you depressed all the time?" And I was like, you know what? There is this tension as a filmmaker working on intense, like critical social issues, that it's a balance between being super empathetic as much as possible to the story, connecting with people and centering them and being close to them. And also like finding a way to have a work-life balance that's healthy. Because there is like a burnout that comes with being super, super close to your stories. So I don't even have a perfect answer for that. I think that we do all, I think a lot of documentarians especially grapple with the like impact on their own health and their own wellness when they're dealing with these issues. But I think that I'll speak for myself and say like there's nothing else that I could do. Like I couldn't stop if I wanted to. Like I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing in life. And so it's just a matter now for me of finding ways to balance that. So I need to take a day off a week. I need to work out every day. I have to move my body every day. I have to prioritize that over everything and set boundaries. And I think like limitations often make for better projects anyway. So yeah.
I like that. Okay. So tell me on a lighter note, what's your favorite project that you've completed so far?
I have so many.
Oh,
Um,
run through them. We got time.
okay, okay. So we had the opportunity to produce and direct 4 videos for Nike's Until We All Win campaign, which was launched in 2019 during Black History Month. And I loved it because I got to direct the 4 videos, and what it required was really connecting with 4 young Black people around the country who were using sports to organize their communities. And so we shot in New York, 2 different stories, and we shot in Atlanta, 2 different stories. And it was just beautiful because these people were like, I won't even say kids because some of them were, adults, but like young people who, like, one of the women that we profiled had cured her dad of diabetes through changing their diet, and like launched this amazing nonprofit to teach young people how to eat healthier. And so she's like this young person who changed her family's, the course of her family's life. And then there's another person in Atlanta who was using sports to like bring all the young people in East Atlanta together and have these community field days so he could like empower young people. And I'm like, it was just so beautiful because the people that we were working with were super powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and just like really inspiring to be around. And then our teams, so Breaktide is based across like the Bay Area in New York, and then oftentimes I'm in London. So we kind of have this like presence, but when we go to a city, we always hire locally.
Okay.
So we go to New York and we hire a crew of people from New York, and they're just like loving that we're shooting in Brooklyn and it's a basketball story. And like we're in Atlanta and it's like people who are super passionate about Atlanta who are like working on this set with us. And I don't know, it was just a really beautiful experience to be working with people in all these different cities, and the vibe was just beautiful. So I think, yeah, the Nike Black History Month campaign has been one of my favorite
Okay,
projects.
awesome. That sounds dope. I actually think I remember seeing that. I love what Nike does with storytelling anyway.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
so I need to go back and revisit that. That's awesome. Okay, so you kind of touched on the rewarding side of it. So you're working with people who care about their community. What
Yep.
else is the most rewarding and the most maybe trying part of being a director and producer?
Yeah. Um, One of the most rewarding parts of filmmaking for me is to watch people see themselves in a really beautiful light that sometimes they haven't had the opportunity to see. Like sometimes they think of their lives as just like their daily lives, but when you can piece it together and like, I don't even know, when you can put somebody in a position to like see their life and understand the beauty and like value and complexity of it, um, it's just really rewarding. Like I was shooting with my family in Milwaukee, and I was just like, we don't have footage like this. Like we don't have to back up. Basically, I was shooting a film about my cousin in Milwaukee who was trying to get a heart transplant. And I was documenting all the barriers to his access to this transplant, that a lot of which had to do with racial inequity in Milwaukee specifically. And I just realized that at some point that I'm creating this archive for my family, and it felt really good to know that we could look back, and his children will look back at that video and be able to see him and be able to see him with them. And so that was really, really rewarding. And I think also, I mean, even just watching people watch your films and seeing their bodies react to like these really emotional moments, it makes me feel like I did my job, because what I'm trying to do is change people. When they watch what I'm creating, when they've like watched what I have created, I want them to be moved to action. I want them to tell people about what they saw. And so to actually witness, like to be sitting in a theater and people see your work on screen and are like saying something to the person next to them, like, yo, I can't believe this. Like it's, I don't know, it's magical to me.
I love that.
Yeah. And
Yes.
you said the difficult part too, right?
Yes.
um, there's a lot of different ones. Like I'm like, it's a challenging career for different reasons and in different roles. So like I think as a director, one of the hardest parts is just like getting on, honestly, because
Okay.
you I feel like in the film industry there's this trajectory that you're expected to follow, which is like climbing your way up from the bottom, like PAing on a whole bunch of sets and people treating you like crap and all this stuff. And I feel that by collectivizing, my partners and I have been able to kind of like leapfrog some of that,
Mhm.
which, and when I say leapfrog that, I'm like, I don't even advocate skipping steps. Like at any given point, I'd be ready to PA on a project I'm ready to PA on. Like, that's cool. Sorry. I'd be a production assistant on a big film. It's
Thank
cool.
you.
Even a small film, probably even it. Like, I would do that. But there's also something really powerful about collectivizing. So I
Mhm.
would say, like, we always, Breaktide, our team, we always say, we didn't want to wait to be discovered. Like we recognized already that we had the issues that we were working on had value and deserved to be heard, and we weren't gonna put it on the back burner until such time as we like get an agent and can make the work. Like, no, we're just making the work. So that's why I say I think one of the biggest challenges as a director is to get on, but the collectivization is something that helped us to kind of skip that challenge. And I also think that a challenge as like a producer in that role, it's man, in some ways I feel like being a producer means a million things and is usually very underrated or underappreciated. Sometimes the director gets all the pub, but the producers are the ones who are making a vision come to life logistically. And so there's a lot of work, a lot of seeing around corners and being super flexible and, you know, having boundaries, but understanding that there is no formula for making films. And so I'm trying
Okay.
to think of an example, like you say producer and someone might think like, okay, you're helping to get this film distributed after it's made or something. But sometimes the producer is the one who is sitting with the director and helping them hammer out their creative vision. And so I think that like producers step into many roles. Um, and yeah, I think like it's a balance between helping creatively and also like staying in your lane. So there's a lot of like, I don't know, bobbing and weaving as a producer trying to figure out if you, especially if you don't know the director, like where you're supposed to be fitting into that. But one of the, I think one of the beautiful things is like when a producer and a director of photography, a DP, have a really trusting relationship, you can kind of like, you avoid all of that politicking and
Mhm.
just know that each of you is fighting for like the best possible outcome and like there's no egos involved. And that's why I really love my team, because we all actually flex into those three different positions. Like I'll sometimes be directing, I'll sometimes be producing. Our like lead cinematographer DP, she'll sometimes be directing and we'll fill in the roles. And so having that trust, and again going back to collectivizing and the power of that, it's allowed us to like skip the politics, skip the ego, get the best outcome, period.
Great. That I know that is so helpful to people out there who are wondering how to get started.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it, Alex. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yay. Thanks.
I want everyone, if you're listening, to go out and go to her website. I will have the information below in the caption. Go see her work. She's doing amazing things, and we need to support creatives that look like us. And
Hey.
that's what we're gonna
Appreciate
do.
that.
Of course. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot, Amanda.
No problem.